All right, so geometry, to start your distance uh, formula homework, we have to talk about expressing some radicals in simplest radical form. Because of the square root in the distance formula, some of the problems are going to ask you for simplest radical forms. I need to show you what that means if you don't know. Okay, so we need to simplify the square root of 108. Now, just quickly, if I go to Desmos graphing calculator and I type in the square root of 108, so square root. I do SQRT for square root. If you don't know, I gotta hide these real fast. Give me 1 second. Alt T. Here's the keyboard, right? If you go square root, there it is. Okay. Alt T. Okay. And then you can type in 108. And notice you get a decimal number. If you get a decimal number, that means that this is not a perfect square. So maybe you can simplify it in simplest radical terms. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, um, I'm going to show you two ways. The first way, which I think is universal, is by making a factor tree. So over here to the right, I'm going to take the number 108. And I'm going to ask you, okay, give me two numbers that multiply to get 108. Well, I like to start with the prime numbers. I know that 2 will go into this because 8 is an even number. And if you use Desmos graphing calculator to divide 108 by 2, you'll get 54. Okay? 2 is a prime, so I'll circle it. Okay, so now I know 54 is also divisible by 2. 2 into 54 goes 27 times. So 2 and 27 multiply to get you 54. Again, 2 is prime. Now, 2 does not go into 27, but I know 3 does. 27 divided by 3 is 9. 3 is a prime number. I know that 3 goes into 9, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. And 3 and 3 are both primes. So I have the prime factorization of 108. So the square root of 108 can be rewritten as the square root of 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. Now, with square roots, or with radicals in general, this space right here is where we put the index. And for square roots, the index is a 2, but we never write it. We never write it. So anything squared can come out of a square root. Well, if you have two 2's, that really means 2 squared. So that means that a 2 can come out, not 4, but 2. And when that 2 comes out, both 2 disappear. Same thing with this pair of 3's. That is 3 squared. That means that a 3 can come out, not 9, and they go away. And this lonely 3 is left inside of the radical. And now what we'll do is we'll multiply the 2 times 6 outside, or 2 times 3 outside to get 6 square root of 3. So that's going to probably be my answer, 6 square root of 3. So this is the prime factorization way. Okay. So when I type it in here, I'll go 6, I'll use their square root button, and I'll put a 3. Now, before I press go, let me show you the second way to do this. Now, the second way is to use perfect squares. So we need to list out the first 10 perfect squares. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36, 7 squared is 49, 8 squared is 64, 9 squared is 81, and 10 squared is 100. So now we want to find the biggest perfect square that goes into 108. All right. Now, because it ends in 8, I'm looking at 8 squared, 6 squared, 4 squared, and 2 squared. Right? Odd. So first of all, 1 squared doesn't count. Right? If it's an odd-looking number, try 9, try 49, try 81. If it ends in 5 or 0, try 25 or 100. Right? But since it ends in an even number, let's try 64, then 36, then 16, then 4. So I'm going to go away from this real fast and go into Desmos graphing calculator. And I'm going to work on the division here. So we'll do 108 divided by 64. That's a decimal, doesn't count. I'll do 108 divided by 36. And look at that. It goes in evenly 3 times. So I can break 108 into the square root of 36 times 3. And 36 is a perfect square. It is 6 squared. So again, 36 is 6 squared, or 2 sixes. That means a 6 can come out. That 6 squared is gone, and the 3 is left inside. And there is the same answer. It's less work, but I feel like you have to know math better, right? So if that makes sense. But nonetheless, I got 6 square root of 3 both times. So let's try it. Cross your fingers. Awesome. Now, sometimes the radical doesn't simplify. Don't fret. Just type in the radical as it is then. Okay? So be aware of that. So hopefully that goes well. And again, if you see the words simplest radical form, this is what they're looking for. Okay? All right, great. So this is kind of like the precursor video. So now the next video will have a couple distance formula problems on it.